please. Thank you, Tim, for that kind introduction. Daniel Patrick, USMC, City Council, my fellow citizens. Friends, I want to thank each of you for your attendance. Just as important, I want to thank our very own American Legion Post 322 and all the individuals and groups who contributed to make today's festivities a success. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. As I've stated for the past 5 years, the opportunity to share remarks and reflect on today's significance is one of the great privileges that comes with the office of mayor. Last year, I stood in this exact spot and spoke about America's participation in the First Great War. I told you at the turn of the previous century, the United States was emerging as one of the most energetic and vigorous nations on earth. We had growing prestige and a burgeoning military. Increasingly, we used our power and influence not in selfish ways, but rather in the pursuit of more noble goals, providing the world with much needed moral leadership. At home, we sought a more just society, one that acknowledged that government exists to serve all of our citizens, not just the powerful, the well-connected, or the affluent. And we began to understand that in a country of great wealth and abundance, just because you were born poor didn't mean you had to die poor, and that if you worked hard and played by the rules, you could achieve a level of success. And friends, in 1917, we took our values, our commitment to human dignity and freedom, and participated in the First World War. A war, as our President Woodrow Wilson stated, and I quote, was a war to end all wars, end of quote. We hope to create a lasting peace, not at the expense of liberty, but a peace to preserve it. Now, as I stated last year, regrettably, that peace would not last. In the ensuing years, following World War I, perhaps inspired by our change in attitude, the world sought collective security through isolation. On our home front, too many embraced self-indulgence and callous indifference to human suffering. And honestly, the excess and greed of some was seemingly limitless. But most troubling of all is that we failed to keep faith with our veterans, our servicemen, and we failed to remember the important lessons of our history. The world needs our strength and moral clarity. The absence of it emboldens the enemies of freedom and leads to war. Now, you likely already know how this story ends. It ends in depression and despair, record high unemployment, and communities on the verge of collapse. Globally, with the forces of good weak and divided, those with an unlimited capacity for evil sought world domination. Fortunately, there were still some among us who believed in American strength and exceptionalism. And while much of the world was close to subjugation, we rebuilt a military of liberators, not occupiers. And while our soldiers preserved our way of life at home, they secured freedom for millions, from Europe to North Africa, Southeast Asia, and beyond. Our casualties were appalling, but our courage and determination, were boundless. Embracing our altruistic tendencies, we regained the mantle of leadership and won the respect of the entire world. My friends, the United States of America is the greatest nation in the history of mankind. And it's true, to preserve our way of life, we have lost far too many, who died for our freedoms, but also fought to extend them abroad. It's clear to me that we have a love affair with freedom, one that cannot be compromised or broken. Because we know, and I've shared this in the past, I'm paraphrasing former President George W. Bush, freedom is not America's gift to the world. Freedom is God's gift to every man, woman, and child on this earth. And while our commitment to freedom and liberty will endure, frankly, it is not enough. We must remember our past, remain cognizant of our history, and we cannot forget those who sacrificed and died for our nation. Perhaps now more than ever, the world needs a strong and engaged America, one that inspires not just because of the strength of our military, but because of the power of our ideals. So not just today, but every day, not just in this moment, but in every moment, let us recommit ourselves to the fight for freedom, and let us acknowledge, honor, and care for all those who have served causes greater than themselves. Because, and this is not hyperbole, the fate of humanity depends on them. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share remarks this morning. May God bless you. God bless our servicemen and women, active and retired, those no longer with us, and all those who fight to keep us safe. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all.